Good morning. Is anyone here this morning for the family program? Good. Because it's happening in a different location. Maybe we should all head over there, in fact. I'm so touched that you all took the trouble to come out here. No fair weather Zen students today. So thank you for making that treacherous drive and avoiding newts on the long wet walk to the Zendo here. And of course to those who stayed home, you had the right idea. And thank you anyway for logging in and being here to join the Sangha. It's kind of cozy, actually, to be together. And this morning I've been enjoying and drawing sustenance from and grounding and clarity and energy through the practice of kindness. So I'd like to recommend it this morning. Because why not? Why not practice kindness? Why not allow the kindness of our naturally intimate, open, tender, connected human heart? Why not let that be who we are? Let that be how we move. There's plenty of reasons why not, but none of them are good reasons. So I've been thinking of and exploring kindness, the practice of kindness as a kind of posture. Posture, for those of us practicing formal Zen, is sort of a touchstone. We have our physical posture, upright and still, our mental posture of open, not knowing, and this heart posture of warmth and kindness. So as I'm practicing, trying to deepen into the practice and encounter and expression of kindness, I don't mean it, and I'm not working with it as an overlay, like cut off your closed and cold and resistant and complaining heart, and then just paint a layer of sweetness on top of that. I think those of us, some Zen students, and maybe some of you in this room, feel like, I don't know about kindness. Do we have that problem here? Some very serious Zen students. Kindness, no time for kindness. We crave authenticity. So to paper over some kindness is like not the point. But the kindness that I'm offering, the kindness of our Buddhist tradition, is the kindness that is totally aligning the deep ground, the deep root of our being with our expression as kindness. It's the most authentic thing possible. It's what we actually are and what we long to be, and what manifests when we just stop being so confused about our relationship to the world, namely the confusion of feeling like I'm over here and it's out there. So I'm noticing, what is the kind of effort or opening or release or invitation that allows a kindness to be in the feeling body, but not in the like floating in the feeling body, independent of the deep root of my being, but a kindness that is the expression of my actual life, that includes everything. That's the acknowledgement or the enactment of the way that we are so intimate with everything that's here. So intimate. You might say, I'm not so intimate. But the teaching is we are so intimate with everything that's here. It's nothing but our own life, our own body, our own being. So settling in together, maybe you might invite this kindness. Notice in the body and the heart what this door of kindness opens for you. What is right here? And is there kindness towards it? Of course, your neighbor sitting next to you. And you feel that kindness towards that friend in the Dharma. And maybe there's an ache in the body, some unpleasant sensation. And you feel what it is to bring kindness to that encounter, to meet this ache with kindness right now. What a relief. Or maybe there's restlessness or impatience or judgment. Like, I don't want to hear about kindness today. What is it to open to that with kind heart, intimate? The sound of the rain, welcomed with kindness. The light. There's a way of talking about kindness and practicing kindness. And maybe in these words that I'm offering, you might feel like kindness is something that you do as a response to something. Something comes up and then we're kind towards it. To have a kind response. So I'm over here, being me. The outside world is over there, being all of you. And this light and the sound out there. Now and then, or all the time, things come up. This outside world impinges on myself, something happens, and then I say, oh yeah, I should practice kindness towards it. And then we muster some kindness and apply it to that thing that just happened. Does that make sense as a way to practice kindness? Here it comes. Now be kind towards it. In the Zen view, I would suggest that's too late. That's too late. So that's pretty good, you know. It's better than what seems to be popular nowadays. Something arises, we find the most cruel possible response. Mustering cruelty together, this wholehearted practice that our society seems engaged in. This tidal wave of cruelty that we're standing in, trying to muster a little sprout of kindness and feeling it slammed. We need deep root kindness. And the deep root kindness is not something that after something happens, you find. That's not deep enough. If you can grab it after something's happened, it's not deep enough. So when I say the posture of kindness, this is like the kindness is here before anything happens. Everything that arises is arising into the space of kindness already. It's also not, you know, something arises and then I figure out what would a kind thing be to do, theoretically. That's also an excellent idea, but not exactly our way as meditators, as practitioners of Zen. Suzuki Roshi has this wonderful comment about Dogen Zenji. So Suzuki Roshi is the founder of the San Francisco Zen Center, and Dogen Zenji is the 13th century Japanese founder of Soto Zen. And we have this precept, the 5th precept, which is to not sell intoxicants. And Suzuki Roshi loves this precept because he talks about all the intoxicants that we're selling to each other all day long. Like Buddhism is one of his favorites. Stop selling that intoxicant. And maybe a kind of shallow kindness, you know, that's bought and sold. And bought again. So Dogen says about intoxication, his comment is, practice the precept of non-intoxication before the liquor arrives. This is very wise, and Suzuki Roshi affirms the wisdom of this. He says, actually, when you try not to drink liquor that you already have, it is too late. If you want to keep the precept, keep it before the intoxicating liquor comes. It's wonderful. Keep the precept before actually anything happens. So then something happens, and it's happening in the space where the precept is already being maintained. I don't know if that sounds abstract or if that's accessible. To just be in the body, practicing kindness already. Feeling this tender, open heart, being in the world, moving through the world with this tender, open, kind heart. And letting our life, the whole field of what we call our life, just be this space of kindness. So our Zazen practice of just sitting is to be completely still and open not involved in things that are coming. So it's not like things come up and then we get involved in them with kindness. It's that our sitting, and then as we extend that sitting into our daily life, that sitting is just this field of kindness that everything is arising together in. There's a story I was remembering this morning, wonderful story about the 18th century Zen hermit poet Ryokan. Maybe some of you know his wonderful, deep and light-hearted teaching. Ryokan was known as Taigu, or the great fool. He was so foolish that he was kind. He didn't know, that there were things. So he could be that field of kindness. He had beginner's mind, freshly arrived on the scene of being a human being. Natural kindness right there. Once we've carved up the world into things and good and bad and me and you and this and that, then we're in this realm of now kindness is another thing, and now we're trying to apply the kindness to the thing. But the violence is kind of already done of that separation. So the kindness will be like a Band-Aid. So the practicing before there's a world, before anything arises, practicing kindness won't be Band-Aid kindness, will be the great fool's kindness. So he really was very foolish. And there's a story that I wanted to share. One spring afternoon, Ryokan, this is according to, as told by the translator John Stevens. One spring afternoon, Ryokan noticed 3 bamboo shoots growing under his veranda. Bamboo grows rapidly, and soon the shoots were pressing against the bottom of the veranda. Ryokan was quite anxious, for he did not like anything to suffer, even plants. He cut 3 holes in the floor and then told the bamboo shoots not to worry. He would cut a hole in the roof if necessary. He was happy once again. Then in another version of the same story says, one day a bamboo shoot sprouted from below the floor of his hermitage and grew up to the ceiling. As Ryokan used a candle to burn a hole in the ceiling for the bamboo shoot to grow out, he accidentally burned the hut to the ground. I love that this made him happy. And that's what kindness does. I shared some weeks ago around my mother's passing, some of her final offering to the family was this teaching of, as someone who had resisted the world's call to cruelty, despite hearing it loud and clear, she said, don't let anyone make you cruel. There's no joy in that. Even if there wasn't, it would still be a good idea. But the joy is in the connection with our basic nature. The joy is in the intimacy that we are. So of course the kindness is the joy. So he's so happy. And he's so foolish that he doesn't even realize, where's he going to sleep? So don't try this at home, Don't copy Ryokan. Especially those of you staying here for a time at Green Gulch. Please, this kindness that includes everything. Someone could say, Ryokan was pretty kind, but his kindness didn't include everything. His kindness didn't include, where am I going to sleep tonight? Because he didn't know there was tonight. because he was just completely himself, one with the field of ungraspable, this moment, presence. With this deep trust that will take care of him until it doesn't. Nothing to fear. This is our teaching of wisdom. The wisdom teaching of our school says to practice wisdom is fearlessness. When we practice this wisdom, we have no fear. Having no fear, we can practice the kindness. So now we have here at Green Gulch some farm apprentice applicants who I'm sure will be told to weed. So I'm sorry, Brian. We don't have a problem with weeding here at Green Gulch, generally speaking. So we're not trying to imitate Ryokan. We're trying to embody the kindness that manifested in Ryokan's way through Ryokan. By the time we're thinking, it's too late. By the time something has arisen, it's not exactly too late. We can start over, but it's kind of too late. Start from zero then, Go back to before anything arose and reestablish the posture of kindness. So this is on my mind in part because a day or two ago, I got a message from the elementary school that my youngest child goes to. And it reminded me that last week was Kindness Week at Tam Valley Elementary. I thought, I did not notice that last week was Kindness Week. I've been checking the news every day, and I did not see Kindness Week. I saw dehumanize, erase, cruelty week. And I wish that these Tam Valley folks, had gotten the word out with a little more, I don't know, some consultants or publicists or something. It is Kindness Week. This tidal wave of cruelty, that's what it feels like. So it was so touching to see somebody thought it was Kindness Week. I would like to practice Kindness Week. Not because the administrators said, like when they say it's pajama day, often we ignore them. But when they say it's Kindness Week, I feel like, yeah, it is Kindness Week. It is Kindness Week. That's also what the Buddha ancestors said in their weekly email to me. Hey, Jiryu, did you remember that last week was Kindness Week? And also this coming week is Kindness Week? And actually, every day until the end of the eon, at the end of the eons, is Kindness Week. And then it all starts again, in this Buddhist cosmology, and then it's Kindness Week again. Eons, endless Kindness Week. And that's what my heart wants, and that's why the joy is there when I touch that. And that's why the closing and it's okay to feel this heaviness and rage meeting the greed, hate, and delusion. To be kindness towards that. To be the posture of kindness meeting that tidal wave of cruelty, coming from outside and coming from within. I heard this phrase last week, this gleeful phrase to remove the criminal alien dirtbags. I actually heard that phrase expressed by people who lead us, supposedly. And my kindness wasn't so deeply rooted. I thought, oh, you want to talk about who that is? Feeling that white-hot rage, feeling that heavy sadness, that fatigue. So to feel this kindness is not deeply rooted enough. This little kindness that I'm applying, trying to do like Ryokan did and paper over my cold greed, hate, and delusion-filled heart, with some expression of kindness. That will not stand up. That does not stand up in the tidal wave of cruelty. We need, the path calls us to this deep-rooted kindness down to the bottom of our being. So how do we nourish the deep root of this kindness? Even when we're in the wave of cruelty, even if everyone around us is encouraging cruelty, even the good guys, taking up cruelty. The Buddha way is the path of kindness and liberation and intimacy with every single thing that arises, no matter what anybody says. This teaching is old and ancient and universal. Any action that has the cruelty in it, even if that action has a good result, the result is tainted by the seed of that cruelty and will soon enough blossom again as cruelty. Any action, even the most ineffective and subtle and seemingly washed away, that has in it the seed of kindness, will blossom as kindness. You heard that before? Like from every single sage who has ever walked the earth? So how do we live from this deep kindness? His Holiness the Dalai Lama, no stranger to cruelty and deep suffering. He famously says, "My religion is kindness." Raise your hand if that bumper sticker is on your car. We could do, a walk through the parking lot and would be delighted to find that bumper sticker, probably, on more than one EV in our parking lot. Longing to practice kindness, tenderness, for every single thing, for the air, for the water, for each other, for this hatred, for this ache, for this sound. Not as someone separate from it, but as it. My Buddhist studies professor and now a good friend has this marvelous, I wish he were here to do it himself, rant about the Dalai Lama's phrase, "My religion is kindness." He says, the Dalai Lama consults an oracle before making major decisions. He has actually like medieval worldview. He is consulting spirit medium before making decisions that he sincerely believes is manifesting this kind of wrathful element of this ancient deity that was like captured by Tibetan Buddhist ancestors. That's also his religion. So I'm picturing, the bumper sticker doesn't quite express the depth of the Dalai Lama's actual religious practice. I thought it would be cool if it did. My religion is kindness, asterisk. Also, before making major decisions, I consult a spirit medium that's channeling an ancient deity. I don't know much about Tibetan Buddhism, so I looked this up. This is at Nechung Oracle, totally far out. So they go and they do these ceremonies, and this guy, this oracle, puts on a costume, an outfit that weighs 70 pounds, and then a helmet that weighs 30 pounds. And they're doing all this ceremony, and he goes into this trance where he manifests this thing and is like out of his mind manifesting this spirit and answering with precision these questions that are coming from the Dalai Lama and others. And then he collapses, and the ceremony continues and then wraps up. I thought that's so cool. So what does that mean? My religion is kindness. It's this rant of my friends is not to say that His Holiness is not a deeply kind person who understands kindness as the fundamental expression of his vow of the path. The point is that it's not enough, it's not complete to just say practice kindness. There's a whole system, there's a whole universe of practice and study and teaching. There's a whole life of devotion to being a mature human being that is underneath that practice of kindness. Kindness isn't just something you can do independent. It's like calling for this whole transformation of your life through all of these different tools and teachings. So he's tending through all of these teachings and practices, he's tending to the deep root of the kindness. So as someone who also kind of puts on weird clothes and does weird things and studies weird teachings, in order to nourish the root, seeing what I'm up against, in my separate and restless and hateful and self-centered heart, to just have the idea of kindness and try to put it on is totally inadequate. To have a whole practice from the bottom up that allows then the kindness not to be slapped on top of this basically greed, hate, and delusion system, but the kindness to manifest like the fruiting body of this mushroom that's deep and wide underground. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the practice of emptiness and the teaching of emptiness as a way in our school of Zen that we nourish the root of our kindness, that we train our being in intimacy so that kindness will be manifest in our life. But maybe that's too complicated and maybe there's not time. But trust me, study emptiness. To maintain this fundamental duality, this fundamental delusion that I'm over here and everything else is over there, that is not a foundation for kindness. the kindness cannot make it up through that maze. The kindness at the bottom of our being is trying to come up into our action, but encountering that fundamental division, it's stifled. So we study these teachings to soften this fundamental delusion we have about what's happening here. Maybe you feel this delusion right now. You're over here. The rain is out there. You're over here. The cruel people are out there. In the immediate presence of this moment, coming into our body and our belly, relaxing and opening, turning the light to see what is this actual moment of being alive. Not what do I think it is, not what do I remember that it is, not what do I call it, but what is it right now actually like? Everything arising together, total intimacy. So we have this sutra that we chant every day here in this temple, and in Zen temples really everywhere, the Heart of Perfect Wisdom Sutra. And a practitioner recently was expressing great joy in noticing that the sutra on emptiness is being expressed by the Bodhisattva of kindness and compassion. Do you all know what I mean and how strange this is? So in the morning we chant this very cold text. It's pretty weird. Those of you maybe encountering it this week for the first time might be finding that. What am I saying here? We say things like no eyes, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind. Sound familiar? Emptiness. It doesn't mention kindness, if I remember. But if you look at the first line, the one studying that emptiness is the Bodhisattva of compassion. Many people are leaving kindly to take care of things, and perhaps because they've had it. So the kindest thing I can do here is just get up and get out of here before he starts talking anymore about emptiness. So just to say, I won't unpack this Heart Sutra for us today. There's not time. But that the study of kindness needs to be joined with the study of who we think we are and what we think the world is. And this teaching of there's no eyes in the world, there's no ears in the world, there's no suffering in the world, there's no end of suffering in the world. This kind of radical pointing wisdom teaching is trying to get at our fundamental relationship with life, to crack it open a little bit so that that natural kindness and compassion and care and intimacy can manifest. So if you want to practice kindness, please also study who you think you are and what you think your life is. And the teachings of the Buddha Dharma have many tools through which we can do so. We can deconstruct these dualities and separation that confine and obstruct the flow of that kindness. This is what the Dalai Lama is steeped in, that his kind of mushroom fruiting body can say, it's just kindness. Thank you so much for your kind attention this morning. I want to offer this practice of kindness today and tomorrow and the next day. And maybe you will join me. Recommitting in our vow to be kindness even before anything arises, all the more so to be kindness before the cruelty arises, and to let that shine for the suffering world. Let that nourish us and bring us joy. There's time for a question or comment if anyone wants to offer something. Sure, go ahead. In person, and then, is that online or is that... Oh, go ahead, you have the microphone. Go ahead, please.
Thank you for your talk today and for your commitment to Kindness Week, every week.
Renewable Kindness Week. We won't get tired because it's joy. It's the other thing that's what's tiring us out. Sorry.
I didn't understand the rant about the other practices of the Dalai Lama. And
yes.
Can you say more?
Yes. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry that wasn't clear. The Dalai Lama has this depth of wondrous, wonderful practices that are kind of erased when we just hear that all the Dalai Lama practices is kindness. It makes it sound like, well, we could just practice kindness on top of our sort of unexamined greed, hate, and delusion, because that's all the Dalai Lama is doing, is practicing kindness. That's all the practice is, just put kindness on. So what's missing in that, it's not that the kindness isn't complete expression of his path, it's that he's using a lot of tools. He's drawing from a lot of wisdom, a lot of ritual, a lot of resource, a lot of teaching to find and be able to maintain that kindness. Does that make sense? That we also need that. I think this is the thing that I appreciate about, so-called Zen student being allergic to the kindness as a superficial thing. This is not something we're papering over. Don't just be sweet and smile and that's Buddhism. No, it's not. Transform your life from the bottom up. Become one with everything. Realize that everything you think about the world is completely false, has absolutely no traction with how things are. There are no eyes or ears or nose. There is no sound. There is no smell. There is no you. There is no me. There is no birth. There is no death. Enter that intimacy and let the kindness come as the fruiting body of that. Don't just put the bumper sticker on yourself of I'm a Buddhist, I'm kind, So, anyway. If you want, to practice from the kindness and let that percolate down, and of course, we're being kind with the sense of separation. We're being kind with the greed, hate, and delusion. Both, the chick is pecking from inside the egg, and the mama hen is pecking from outside of the egg. Our deep vow, kindness, intimacy, Buddha nature body that is already intimate with everything is pecking up, trying to get the kindness to come out. And the person who wants to be a Buddhist is trying to do the kindness and get it to meet. So it's okay to do superficial kindness. And it's very preferable to the superficial cruelty that's around. But the Buddha way is calling for something more full and complete. So I just, thank you for asking. I mean, no disrespect. I think that ritual is actually very cool. So I hope that was clear. I think, we should, let's do that. There's a couple of questions. Sure, yeah. Yeah, there's one in the back and then one up here, or two up here. Okay. And so let's do those 4 questions and then we'll end.
Thank you for the questions or the subject you posed today. In a way, maybe you just answered my question, but I'll try and set it in a certain way. 10, 15 years ago, people I really cherished in my life and respected took on views of science and views of logic that were just absolutely foreign to me, and I didn't know how to respond to it, and as with many of us, it didn't turn out well. And it occurred to me the other day that we now have to, now that they're in full power, we now have to completely reinvent our relationships in our local communities with each other. And I was wondering what your thoughts are on a little bit on what that might look like.
Thank you. Thank you for that. To practice this kindness, with each thing that arises in ourself and with each other in ever-widening circles. To be together in the practice of kindness, in the intention of kindness. I think that was the idea of Kindness Week, Like, let's be together enacting kindness. Let's stand for kindness, It doesn't have to win. It's just what our actual life is calling for. It's just the vow. It's just the Buddha way. So thank you. Yes, may the Sangha be harmonious. May kindness suffuse all of our communities and lives. Thank you.
Hello. I just want to say thank you so much for your talk, and as you can hear, I do have a stutter, so it'll take me a little longer to complete my question. And specifically, my question is, how do we use kindness to heal our own traumas, our own sorrows, pain? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your question. Our practice of sitting is the practice of welcoming, being this kind heart, welcoming with kindness every single thing that arises. And that seems like a very strong foundation to be able to make room for. The other piece of this depth is the composure, that capacity So that's also part of what we're cultivating in this practice, and part of what the teaching of emptiness can support us to deepen in. That we are completely here and spacious with the capacity to welcome with kindness whatever arises. So to work on that composure and to work on that kindness, and then everything that arises, nothing is pushed away, everything is included, and then the including keeps going. So something difficult, painful, impossible, unbearable arises, including our own reactivity, or whatever it is. We include it, it's totally welcome in this field of kindness, and that field keeps extending. We don't grasp, we don't constrict. So that's an offering, not at the level of like technique for how to heal trauma, but at the level of the soil, which is what we talk about in this farm Zen place. The soil, how to make soil on which healing can happen. So thank you for your question. May all beings be healed of trauma. May this practice of kindness be a guide for that work. It was here and here. Yeah, please.
So my name is Natasha. Thank you for welcoming me to your Zen Center.
It's Natasha.
I practice holistic healing, so this is my first time in a Buddhist atmosphere. But I resonated a lot with your talk because you were referencing how to apply kindness to your life. And I think that for me, being a holistic healer, applying that kindness in a holistic way is the way that I was able to communicate how you could apply it to all aspects of your life. So,
thank you.
For those
holistic meaning like nothing is excluded.
Yes.
Nothing is left out.
Exactly. Thank you.
So again, if it's the most holistic thing possible would be to be practicing it before there's anything. And whatever it is just in that kindness. Yeah, nothing partial, nothing excluded. Last question and then we'll end.
Good morning. Thank you for welcoming all of us who don't live here to be able to come and be together. Every morning I drive an hour to like this awful ocean of suffering where people take pride in being cruel and pride in their ability to other everyone that they work with inside a prison. And I have so much gratitude for the teachings and struggle all the time with how to be kind, in there.
Yeah.
I think, I do a lot of I used to just imagine that I'm go around things like water to just, and try to get people to follow me in order to not engage with the cruelty. And just being here is super helpful. So I don't have a question, just gratitude.
Thank you. Thank you for noticing and feeling so deeply that the root of this kindness needs nourishment. It's not just there for us because we see the bumper sticker and we can't, maybe that works in a very low stakes environment, but in hell, like Jizo Bodhisattva descends into hell and has that deep root of kindness, so is not confused by the cruelty. Because Jizo Bodhisattva is taking care of all of the practices of being a mature being. For eons, cultivating these roots and noticing this needs care. How will I care for this? It's not like, I'm not doing it good enough, I'm not kind. But how will I care for this root? So to not know, the study of kindness, the practice of kindness is the willingness to engage in the ongoing encounter with unkindness. That's what our practice really is. Just, wow, unkind again, and unkind again, and unkind again, and wow, that was cruel. So to study, to not have this like ideal that we're falling short of, but to be studying and learning from and opening and welcoming how difficult it is. And maybe that's the thing about the bumper sticker too, like this is really hard. So how will we care for the root? And you driving over here today in the rain is a beautiful expression of, I don't know, I don't think this is going to help. I don't know how this is going to help, but my root of kindness needs something. And I have this vow to do whatever it's asking for, including sit in a storm together for an hour. Thank you so much for coming, and let's continue this practice together for the benefit of any and all suffering beings.